Thank you, Madam Clerk. Um, Again, there are no petitions and communications, but we do have one council communication tonight. We've got Councilman McBride, who's going to present a presentation on Johns Island. For the record, there's the protocol is 10 minutes of speaking per council member. Uh, Councilman McBride is asked to have 20 minutes. I've agreed to that. We are going to time it. The clerk, I've asked her to do that just to make sure that we adhere to our guidelines and principles. So with that, we're going to give you 10-minute warning, 15-minute, 19. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Looking forward to this. Thank you for putting it together. It's been a lot of hard work, I know. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Councilman McBride.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council, for the opportunity to give this presentation. I am aware that everyone except for myself and Councilman Tinkler and the Mayor worked deliberately to figure out the new redistricting, and you debated whether to have one council member or several council members overlapping Johns Island. You ended with the former, and you ended up with me. So, like it or not, I'm the guy, and I'm working hard, and I want to report out to you all what I've learned about the issues on Johns Island. And how give some recommendations about what we can do to fix it. The audience is also, of course, the public and the state and the county. So this is obviously the greater Charleston area. Reclaiming my time. Just kidding. Um, so that is the city of Charleston. District 3 in the orange is the city part of Johns Island, and there's the rest of the 12 districts. That's the Johns Island portion. So the city portion of Johns Island is just about 20% of Johns Island, and there it is again in orange. So I wanted to point out, give us some examples as to why, how far behind infrastructure we are on Johns Island, which all of you are aware. Fire stations is one great example. The rule of thumb for fire stations is about 2.5 miles apart, and you can see that that is not the case on Johns Island. Has not been for quite a while. The good news is, thanks to this previous council before my term, and the current council and the current mayor, new fire station is being built right now, which will add to our coverage. And the mayor is working on future plans for 2 new fire stations and a police substation on Johns Island. But as of right now, we're far behind. Parks is another example. Again, you can see all the parks in the city of Charleston and the big lack of parks, not only in Johns Island, but outer West Ashley as well. But again, good news, thanks to the previous council and this council, we have a great new aquatic center coming, estimated 2028, late 2027, which we're all deeply grateful for. But again, just showing an example of that infrastructure is not just roads, it's also things like fire stations and parks, and we have a lot of catching up to do on Johns Island. And there is some land that was bought previous council for a future park that needs development to be used for walking paths and maybe a dog park or something. We'll see. Okay, so these are all the major arteries, all the major roads on Johns Island near the city portion. And every one of these roads has these in common. They're all only 2 lanes. They all have small or no shoulders. There's almost no sidewalks, trees on both sides, and they're all state roads. Everybody that lives on Johns Island needs to travel on one of these roads to get off the island, of course. There's only 2 ways on and off Johns Island. And again, the orange portions are the city portion of Johns Island, and the rest is unincorporated county. So I'm going to start off with Maybank Highway, and I'm just going to show pictures of each of these to illustrate my point. And Maybank is, as the mayor has coined, the main street of Johns Island. We're no longer a rural community. We're more and more an urban community, and that's our main street, which is woefully inadequate. This is another view of Maybank Highway going left to right, and I just wanted to illustrate that on Johns Island with River Road, Maybank, there's no alternate parallel paths. We're bottlenecked on Maybank, River Road, and Main Road, so there's not an opportunity for overflow onto another road. Those dotted lines on the map are future plans for potential connections as developments happen on Johns Island for potential multi-use paths. So those dotted lines are not there. There's not a lot of connection on Johns Island. So Main Road, very similar. 2 lanes, little to no shoulders. That's my truck. I just drove around all these roads, took a picture, put it on there. Trees on each side. River Road, this is my biggest concern as far as safety. Upper River Road, north of Maybank Highway. That's what it looks like. You can see almost zero shoulders, much of it, and there's deep stormwater ditches as well. CCSD did add recently with a new school 3,000 feet of stormwater piping and shoulder improvements with the new school, and I'm very thankful for that. But there's many, many more thousands of ditches on Upper River Road. These are some examples of trucks that have fallen into those ditches in Upper River Road, and these are just a small sampling of many, many pictures. This just happened very recently, a couple weeks ago. That's the road we want to connect across if we can get some TST funding. And then, unfortunately, on 5 November, just a few days ago, 2 Johns Island men died in an overturned underwater vehicle going off the bridge on that same road. Nowhere else in Charleston would that happen. That's being under investigation right now by the sheriff's department. Brownswood Road, same thing. Very little shoulders, 2 lanes, no sidewalks. None of these have sidewalks except for very small stretches. Murraywood Road. So this is a very uncharacteristic quality of this district of Johns Island that's different from all the other districts. And I'm fully aware that each district has its own needs. Different districts, of course, have more flooding. We don't have much flooding problems on Johns Island. We do have some, but not much. You know, there's higher crime in other parts, other districts. Low-income housing is a greater need in other parts of Charleston. So I'm fully aware we all have our own unique issues, but this is our issue. South River Road, south of Maybank Highway, same thing. And just keep in mind that what I'm kind of driving at is, you know, we're an island, and for hurricane evacuation and other evacuations, these are what our roads look like. Bohicket, plow ground, all almost cookie cutter, the same. This, I got to give credit to Councilwoman Parker, who first showed me this map. This is a map of all the state-owned roads on Johns Island. All those red roads are state roads. We have an unbelievable amount of state roads, not only in Johns Island, but the rest of Charleston. All those roads are state roads: Maybank, River, Brownswood, Murraywood, Main Road, Bohicket Road, and many more. Going over to James Island, even more: Maybank Highway, Riverland Drive, Central Park Road, Camp Road, many, many more. All those red roads are state roads, and you can see the peninsula up in the top right. Even more roads are state roads, percentage-wise. So I'm not going to read all this, but South Carolina has 41,000 miles of state roads, and that is funded by a 28-cent per gallon gas tax. And then there's the issue there about the C funds that the county gets a portion of. I won't read it, but what does 41,000 miles of state-owned roads look like? That's the state roads. Those are all state roads. All those purple lines are state roads. South Carolina ranks 40th in geography size, 23rd in population, 4th in total miles of state roads. So we're definitely out of balance, and that's causing a lot of problems as far as the improvement of our roads. So you've seen the roads. I know those who've lived here for your whole lives, you're used to Johns Island being a very rural population, and it has been. But I want to show you the rapid population growth that are overwhelming those roads. So here's the city population growth in just the city portion of Johns Island, the orange portion. 2010 population was 5,266. 10 years later, it doubled to 11,884. In 2025, about 14,819. This is based on either census data or census plus permitting data. So the numbers are pretty accurate. So now, but who uses those roads are not just those in the city, it's the city and the county, of course. So I'm going to do city and county population growth. 2010, 15,000. 2020, 26,000. an estimated 2030, 31,000 on Johns Island city and county combined. But of course, it's not just the city and the county on Johns Island. It's also Kiowa, Seabrook, Wadmalaw, and Rockville that all use those same roads, all going through that portion right there of Johns Island in the city. In 2020, about 30,000 population. And I'm going to show you the population growth percentage wise. 1990, you can see 2000, 2010, 2020. So the population growth has accelerated every 10 years pretty dramatically. And of all the Sea Island population, Johns Island share is about 76% of that. That's what it looks like on a chart. The Johns Island portion, city and county, is the smaller lines, both population and units. So you can see that we drive the 10 minutes, drive the growth. And so 2030, all of the Sea Islands, about 37,000 population going through those small, narrow, 2-lane, no sidewalk state roads. That look like that. Okay, SCDOT, they're fully aware of this. There's a SCDOT modernization effort going on right now. They published this report like this, Momentum 2050. They've acknowledged that they're already not able to fund the roads. We've talked about that in TNT earlier today. And future revenue, they're expecting to have even more shortfalls between 2030 and 2050. Those white portion of those lines are even greater shortfalls that they don't expect to get unless something changes. Same report, SCDOT, natural disasters and resiliency, zooming in on Charleston. There's 30 roads closed most often due to hurricanes 2015 to 2023. And at least 3 of those are on Johns Island. 2018 was the first discussion about municipalities taking over some state roads. It's didn't happen, but they're still talking about it with this modernization. BCD COG, Berkeley, Charleston, Dorchester Council of Governments came to Charleston County on June 24th of this year to present to them updated traffic data to help them prepare for the transportation sales tax, 2026 transportation sales tax. So this is what they presented, 2019 traffic data versus 2045. And level of service, so TDM and VC over our head, very technical stuff that all translates to level of service, which is basically a report card of traffic flow on roads on an A through F scale, just like a report card. A being really good, F being forced or breakdown flow with severe congestion and unpredictable travel times. Ron Mitchin, the executive director of BCD COG, said to Charleston County Council that, and that report card is a national standard. Level of service is a national standard. Every state follows it, adheres to it. He said that for the sake of discussion, that I had to come up with another category of F to show how worse than failing certain roads are in Charleston County. So that's that new category of F, magenta, and lo and behold, Maybank and River Road, since at least 2019, has been F minus level of service. 2045, this is even after Main Road Segment A is completed, with the population growth they expect. Highway 17 still expected to be a failing level of service, and you can see some F minus as well. This happens to be the hurricane evacuation route. And then this is the City of Charleston's water plan, Charleston 2050. Kalen presented to Johns Island Council a few weeks ago. That's where I saw this, and I noticed that the area most susceptible to flooding, according to this, I wanted to see where that was, so I overlaid a map on it. Oh, it happens to be on Main Road, which is our hurricane evacuation route on Johns Island. So, conclusion: despite recent very grateful investments by the city of Charleston on Johns Island infrastructure, which will be phenomenal when we get a recreation center, and hopefully, and I know County Council and Councilman Joe Boykin told me I can say this, working on getting the funding for the widening of Maybank between River Road and the Stone River Bridge will help tremendously. And when Main Road Segment A is complete in 2028 for a while, will help tremendously. What can we do? What what can the city do to mitigate these issues that I'm bringing up. So in 2021, Charleston City Council passed, I think it was 2021, passed the Municipal Improvement, Johns Island Municipal Improvement District, which is is effectively impact fees on new developments only, and fees go directly towards Johns Island infrastructure. After a pause for legal review, the state authorized it based on South Carolina Code right there, short title Authority of Municipalities, or the Municipal Improvement Act of 1999. But the council chose not to implement it, partly because I think the redistricting and some other things going on. So it did not get implemented despite being passed. So during 2019, when the city staff and the city council was talking about the mid and what it could do for Johns Island, it was expected to bring in over $17 million in the first year, then every 3 years, for a total of $52 million in the first 6 years. 5 minutes. So that is, again, it's 2019. A lot has changed. A lot of development has happened. So the numbers would be completely different now. But that's to show what potential that the mid could have brought to Johns Island infrastructure. Okay, another example, there's a few municipalities, both county and towns. This is North Augusta, South Carolina, not Augusta, Georgia, North Augusta, South Carolina. They passed a while back an adequate public facilities ordinance, which basically ensures that no development application is approved that would cause a reduction in the levels of service for any public facilities below the standards that they establish. So there's examples that are out there. Councilman Appel talked about one at a county level. I think what was it? Berkeley County. Berkeley County has something similar. You can do it differently for every municipality. There's no one-stop solution, of course. They're also North Augusta recently did an impact fee study in January 2025. That's the Development Impact Fee Act from South Carolina, grants the power for cities and counties to collect development impact fees on new development. And that's how an impact fee study could be started there on the bottom. So here's some of my recommendations and requests, just from the mayor to consider to direct legal and planning departments to examine whether a road infrastructure's level of service defined by BCD cog could be added to the planning commission decision criteria, because right now the planning commission basically just looks essentially right in front of, with some buffer, where development is going in. It doesn't consider, just a quick example, any development on River Road, Upper River Road, will impact the worst intersection arguably in Charleston, which is the Maybank River intersection, because it's a funnel. There's no alternate routes. So even if the intersection is a mile or 2 miles away, it's still a dramatic impact. So I think we should be looking at that, the planning departments, before they approve those kind of things. Number two, direct the planning department to look at including a road infrastructure's level of service to the technical review committee. Request that legal department include the city's police department to the TRC process. The last I checked, I think only the fire department's included. I could be wrong about that. But ensuring that the police department has a say as to traffic safety, things like that, in our decisions. Request the legal department to determine whether adequate public facilities, such as North Augusta, South Carolina, is feasible to add to City of Charleston zoning ordinances and planning commission and TRC committee processes. And the last two, request the planning department to re-examine the Johns Island Municipal Improvement District to look into transportation and look into other things, such as the Transportation Improvement District, which I found out recently is a thing that exists, could apply. And I was going to do an ordinance, but I'm running out of time, or not an ordinance, sorry, a motion, but I'm not going to do it. But my request is to have some feedback on some of these recommendations from the city staff and from the mayor, so we can look at options. And then number 6, request the planning department and TNT department to refine and define specific tangible projects that could facilitate better connectivity on Johns Island. So I showed the map earlier on about Maybank Highway. So there's a lot of potential north of Maybank Highway, but there's just no funding for it. And we're just kind of waiting on developments to happen to be able to do that. So if there was some way we could get funding, and it could be part of a Maybank corridor, larger TST project, but just if we have them defined, then when money becomes available, we can potentially put towards those projects to add to connectivity on Johns Island. I made it in 20 minutes.
That was not on the 20 minutes making, right? I was just kidding. It was very thoughtful. I know a lot of hard work went into that, Councilman McBride, and you've been, no question, a dogged representative of your district. And so I think that was very informative. I'll turn it over any questions any of you all might have.
Well,
Councilman Waring.
I'd like to make an observation, and we who were around the table prior to Councilmember McBride being elected, we listened to the people on Johns Island that came in front, and it was a lot of movement for that district to be cut up into three and be shared amongst three council members. I think Councilmember Pell, council good council lady over here, and my brother to the right here. But when we listen to the people of Johns Island, I'll never forget saying one is the loneliest number versus having three. But I got to tell you, you represent those people outstandingly. And the message that you delivered to all of us, we all part of the problem so we can be part of that solution. So thank you for pulling this information together because, we depend on one another to know more. And in our district, I depend on Council Lady Parker to know, what's going on over there in District 12 and Councilman Bowden and Brady and Shealy and especially Daniel Allen. None of us know what's going on over there at Daniel Allen. So, but I mean, you've done a wonderful job and proud to have you as part of this council.